Let's dive right into this analysis of the source material. Today, we're tracing what is arguably one of the most powerful, transformative journeys in all of world literature. We're looking at the Madurai Kandam. That's the central book of the ancient Tamil epic, the Silappatikaram. And look, this isn't just a simple story about a husband and wife taking a long walk into exile. Not at all. It's a profound, destined transformation. We're going to watch a fragile, earthly couple turn into figures of mythic, literally terrifying significance. As we go through this, we'll see how the brutal environment, unearthly divine omens, and ancient, visceral social rituals all act as these brilliant, tragic mirrors for the deep internal evolution happening within them. It's a trek that begins in the cold shadows of exile and, inevitably, ends in an apocalyptic fire.
Think about the stark, unvarnished reality of their departure. Kovalan, who was once this fabulously wealthy merchant, has completely squandered his entire fortune on illusions and desire. So now he's penniless, consumed by guilt, and fleeing his hometown of Puhar in the dead of night just to avoid the judgmental stares of his peers. And right there beside him is his wife, Kannagi. She's walking into this vast, vulnerable unknown, literally stripped of all comfort, all prestige, all wealth. All she has left are her ruby-filled anklets. Those anklets are her absolute last earthly asset, but, as you'll soon see, they are also the exact seeds of their inescapable doom.
To truly understand the sheer gravity of this path they're walking, we really have to grasp this fundamental ancient concept known as Vidi. Vidi is the inescapable cosmic gravity of fate. Every single step they take away from their past is being pulled by this invisible cosmic magnet. In this ancient worldview, human will is just constantly negotiating with this overarching sovereign destiny. And, spoiler alert, fate usually wins. So, what you should take away from this is that their trek to Madurai is not a random sequence of events. It's not just a physical relocation. It is a destined, unstoppable march toward an epic reckoning.
Now, if we map out the physical distance they covered, it reveals an absolutely grueling path. They start from the coastal city of Puhar, cross the rushing, turbulent waters of the Kaveri River, push through shifting, brutal landscapes, and finally arrive at the towering gates of Madurai. And I want you to pay close attention to how each physical milestone along this route mirrors a profound psychological shift. They are literally walking out of their old identities. The landscape itself is going to systematically strip away their earthly comforts, breaking them down and preparing them for the devastating roles they're fated to play.
Early on, a super crucial encounter happens. They cross paths with the revered Jain ascetic Kavunti Adigal. This saint looks at them and instantly recognizes Kannagi's absolute, faultless observance of Dharma. And rather than just pointing them in the right direction, Kavunti actually offers to personally accompany them. She offers to guide their sore, tender feet through the treacherous jungle and the sharp gravel. Now, you might be wondering, why would a holy ascetic walk with a disgraced merchant? Well, it's because she becomes their spiritual anchor. Through her eyes, we realize that Kannagi is no ordinary mortal in distress. She's a beacon of pure, concentrated virtue.
As they travel deeper into the wilderness, the veil between the human world and the divine begins to thin out. They experience this rare, breathtaking intervention. The celestial Sharanas, these radiant divine beings, literally descend from the sky. And they offer this dramatic wisdom, declaring, to escape the vast ocean of births, praise the Arhat. They speak directly about the illusion of the physical body and the inescapable nature of karma. I mean, imagine being totally exhausted, physically drained, covered in the dust of the road, and having the heavens open up to remind you that the physical world is just temporary. This completely elevates their journey from a desperate flight from poverty into a highly charged spiritual pilgrimage.
Okay, so here's where we need to talk about Karpu. It's usually translated simply as chastity, but it is far more dynamic and, frankly, far more dangerous than just physical fidelity. In the ancient Tamil context, Karpu is a cumulative spiritual power. It's born of immense patience, domesticity, and unwavering, silent virtue. I really want you to reflect on this for a second. Kannagi's silence during her husband's earlier infidelity? That wasn't passivity. It wasn't weakness. It was a crucible. She was accumulating a terrifying, concentrated spiritual force. And as they walk this punishing road, that dormant power begins to wake up. We're watching Kannagi shift from a quiet, enduring wife into an active, world-altering force of nature.
Let's just pause and reflect on this chilling, incredibly important moment. Deep in the forest, A couple crosses their path and actually dares to mock Kannagi and Kovalan. Instantly, and I mean instantly, the ascetic Kavunti curses this mocking couple, contorting their human forms and turning them into howling jackals. Why does this matter so much? It's a stark omen. It proves that Kannagi's virtue is no longer just a personal, internal trait. It is fiercely protected by cosmic forces. Her purity is so absolute that the universe itself will violently reject any insult against her. Her karpu has literally become a shield of supreme, unearthly power.
And this shield brilliantly illustrates the psychological contrast between our two travelers when they confront a forest deity known as an Anungu. This is a spirit that preys on human desires and casts deceptive illusions. Kovalan, even with all his deep repentance, is still terribly vulnerable here. He's engaged in intense psychological warfare, haunted by his past mistakes, and still susceptible to the deceptive shapes of desire. But Kannagi, she is completely immune. Her karpu makes her steadfast, silent, and entirely unshakable. The environment is actively testing them, right? It's revealing Kovalan's tragic, fatal flaws while highlighting Kannagi's rapidly solidifying invincibility.
Further along the road, they meet a Brahmana sage who delivers this poetic yet dire warning. He cautions them about the punishing summer terrain ahead, but listen closely to his specific words. He compares the fierce, unforgiving heat of the sun to a great kingdom whose monarch has deviated from the path of justice under the influence of unrighteous counsel. This isn't just small talk about the weather, folks. This is a brilliant, tragic foreshadowing. The harshness of the environment is being directly equated to the failure of royal justice, which, as we know, is the exact injustice that will very soon claim Kovalan's life in Madurai.
Let's take a moment to really visualize the shifting, stark colors of the Timai, the classical landscapes of ancient Tamil literature. They move out of the vibrant greens and flowing waters of the agricultural Maradam, leaving behind the cool blues of the coastal Nithal, and step right into the harsh, blinding yellows and cracked earth of the Palai, the desert wasteland. The environment is physically mirroring their emotional desolation and their brutal trials. The transition of the earth from fertile to barren reflects the total stripping away of their worldly identities. It forces them to rely purely on their inner spiritual reserves.
Deep in this unforgiving wilderness, they witness something incredibly raw and visceral. Through the haze of the dust, the hunter tribes are performing this intricate, rhythmic choreography. You can almost hear the echoing, hypnotic drum beats in your mind as they perform the Kurve dance. They are worshipping Koravai, the fierce, blood-demanding goddess of victory. We are in a primal world now, miles away from the refined, polite urban courts of their past. It's an environment driven by sweat, dust, and raw faith, and it sets a fiercely intense atmospheric stage for the devastating violence that's about to unfold.
And it's right here, during these intense, trance-induced tribal rituals, that a prophecy drops. A medium, fully possessed by the divine, locks eyes with Kannagi and delivers a revelation that shifts the entire tone of the epic. She says, "This woman of sorrow is no mere mortal. She is a deity in waiting." Boom. Kannagi is no longer just a merchant's grieving wife. The universe is actively building a throne for her. Her profound, silent suffering? It was the exact crucible required for her impending, terrifying divinity. Finally, they arrive at the outskirts of Madurai. It is dawn. Accompanied by the Brahmin Madalan, they look upon the towering walls of the city. Just imagine the sensory-rich sounds and sights of this awakening capital, the rhythmic beating of morning temple drums echoing in the air, the lyrical chants of priests, the bustling energy of the early markets setting up for the day. It's a city of immense wealth and vibrant, beautiful life. Yet, for anyone who knows the story, this beautiful dawn feels incredibly heavy with impending doom. They have reached the absolute epicenter of their fate. The long walk is over, the cosmic trap is officially set. So, as the towering city gates of Madurai loom before them, we're left with this lingering thought. What happens when the unstoppable, terrifying force of Kannagi's virtue, her accumulated karpu, collides head-on with the fatal flaw of an unjust, powerful king? Can human will ever truly outrun cosmic fate, or are we all just walking the path the universe laid out for us long ago? When Dharma is broken, what will survive the flames? It is a haunting question, and it perfectly sets the stage for the explosive final chapters of this epic. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the source material. Catch you next time.